You're listening to Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast. Two friends since before being a millennial was a stereotype. Now guides on your nostalgic tour of Disney history, one magical film at a time. I'm Eddie Ferguson.
And I'm JB Waggoner. And on today's episode, we recall our illustrious stage musical performances as we review Babes in Toyland.
So fasten that safety restraint and pull up on the yellow strap. It's time to open the vault.
Cue that Disney-ish sound effect.
JB, I think this is our first movie to open with a talking goose.
Just doing a Rolodex in my head of all the movies I've ever seen with it. Yeah, there's none coming to my head. This is the first one.
I think this is the first movie I've ever seen in my life that opens with a talking goose.
Was this your first time seeing this movie, Eddie?
Yes.
No way.
I have memories of the sequence in the toy room.
Okay.
Like in the toy shop.
Okay.
But outside of that, I don't think I have ever seen this movie before in my life.
Oh, especially like as a musical?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe that I have more memories and have seen this more times than you have. This is the only musical in all of musicals. Like, I feel like I need to just bask in this moment right now. Like, I don't even know what I feel right now. I'm so intrigued. I want to know your review so badly because mine is tainted by my childhood, like overwhelmingly. So I'm so interested to see your feelings about it.
Is this like our Freaky Friday episode? Is this where we're swapping places here and
Freaky?
You're gonna be where I'm freakier. We would be the freakiest Friday if we were to be in
Yes,
that.
we would. Yes, we would.
This movie is interesting, right? Like it is.
I love your. I'm already in on wherever you're going with this.
Like it definitely gives me some it's trying to be a. How do I put this? It's trying to be a more colorful version of Into the Woods.
Before Into the Woods?
Before Into the Woods. Well, I mean, the musical Into the Woods, I think came out in the, 70s? So it's only, precedes.
Oh, I was thinking of the Helen Mirren, I was thinking of the one that came out
Meryl Streep. Yeah. Well, it's Sondheim, so it's much older than that. But yeah, so it's like, okay, I see what you're doing. You're grabbing some of these different fairy tales or nursery rhyme type of stories and kind of bringing them all together. But there's just like so many conflicting things that I don't fully understand. To begin with, the opening town sequence.
I'm here to answer any questions you have, Eddie. Let me be your guide on this tour through Babes in Toyland.
So my first moment, it's, I couldn't figure out, are we watching like a recorded stage production? Like the way it opens with a screen, that opening sequence of Mother Goose Village Square, definitely on stage. Then we pivot up to the house. All of that is we're on a stage, we're on like a theater stage, like a Broadway stage. So I'm at the beginning getting my mind wrapped up and ready to go like, okay, this is going to be like, this was recorded live on Broadway type of thing. Which, I think I even mentioned on last week's show. I enjoy when they do that. That's very, very interesting to me. But then quickly realized, no, that's not what this is. That's not what this is at all.
World building, Eddie. There's world building involved in this.
And the type of world that is being built is one in which men dressed in lederhosen and Irish wool caps happen to be dancing together. I don't like this weird multicolor clashing of Irish, German, Celtic, Bavarian culture. Just I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. What held me though, like what just hooked me from the beginning, was the sarcastic Goose. Just loved me some good sassy Goose.
And he's there throughout the entire time. He's just
the whole thing for
your whole way through. He's the guy telling you something's amiss here. Something's not quite right.
Like we didn't realize something was up when the thing starts with the talking goose. It's like, this isn't going to go down as I thought it was going to go. Yeah. So you have memories of this though. Like, was this like a go-to watch?
I have seen this movie so many times growing up.
Really?
Like we watched this. Intrigued. I texted my family, my sisters as I'm watching this, and they're like, "Oh, remember? Like this is." I think I rewatched it for the first time a couple years ago as we were wrapping Christmas presents, like the night before Christmas. This was like, I don't know if we had it taped off TV or we owned it. Like we wore this thing out. I knew every song, every dance, like all the different things that were going to happen, the weird moments, like, oh, this person's character is going to be revealed here. I didn't, but what's funny is I didn't really know the story, and especially Barnaby's motivations. I didn't catch, like, you see the piggy bank and all that kind of stuff, but you're just not as aware of the reason he's doing this is because of tax fraud. That kind of went over my head as a kid. That he's like running away from the tax man, like because of his shady dealings that he's done. You just see the pig that he opens up, and then they're like floating through the air with the dollar signs and stuff like that.
My kids were so confused by him.
But they knew he was the bad guy, right? It's like obvious he's the slimy bad guy.
Yes, but they thought he was a vampire.
Oh, well, he looks like one.
He looks like a vampire. So they kept going, wait, is he a vampire? And I'd go, no, he's not a vampire. Well, why not?
Barnaby looked exactly like the greasy hair where it's like you need a side of fries with but that like grease.
The cape, the way his hair styled and everything. I mean, it's classic Dracula. But my kids were just like so stuck on it, and they wanted to know why. Why wasn't he a Dracula? Why he wasn't a vampire? And it's like
he looked the part.
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know.
Maybe it's Halloween and he's dressing up like Dracula for this stuff. So I'm curious, Eddie. So you said you like the Goose. The Goose was a hit for you. You enjoyed his sarcasm throughout. Any of the songs hit you, good or bad?
I can't say that any are stuck in my head.
Really?
Yeah.
Forgettable music numbers. Not. We're not heading in the right direction for Eddie right here.
No, I mean, I was intrigued by, I was craving lemonade at the begining. Let's be honest there. I'm like, wow, hey, been a while since I've had a cold cup of lemonade.
Yep.
No, I couldn't hum any song to you right now. I couldn't give you any.
Not even that one, not even the Toyland song.
No, and what's interesting, I'll be honest, there was a part of like, I should want to fast forward this. Like I should want to just get over with this.
Was it so quirky? You're like, I have to watch every second of this.
Yeah, it's like this odd, like pulling in. And then I'll tell you what the other, where you're going, I'm not enjoying this, but I'm also not enjoying this. You know, like it's not miserable.
Is it a car wreck? Is it the car wreck phenomenon?
No, let me think of the correct analogy to see if I can, get to it. But I think another part of it was, so the kids sat down with me and started watching it, and quickly the boys are just disinterested. Like, let's go play with some cars. But Eileen was hooked. Like hooked. Like unshakable. No one could break her attention from this movie and was just there. And then when the kids head out into the forest of no return, she gets a little scared.
Yes.
She gets a little scared.
Yep, as
so
we all
she
do.
wants to snuggle. She wants to snuggle right next to me and not leave my side. So by that time, I'm not moving, right? Like, I've got a 4-year-old who won't sit still, actually sitting still and wanting to snuggle with me. I ain't moving. So then it was like, I'm in. I'm good. But yeah, it's like a good flossing, right? Where you're like, I don't enjoy flossing. I often forget to do it. But like when you go to floss and like, whoa, you know, you're cleaning out your teeth and it's like you feel the cleanliness. You're like, oh, I know, like, you're like, oh, you know, and then like, wow, you floss, you go through every single tooth and everything like that. Then you like get into it. That's kind of like what this is, where you're going, I don't want to floss. I guess I will. And then you start flossing. You're like, okay, yeah, okay. Well, let's just finish this all up. But about the time you finish flossing and you're like, I'm good, right? Like, I don't need a floss for another month or so, right? Is that an appropriate analogy? Does that work? Does that convey?
I don't know, but I think I'm picking up on what you're trying to tell me here, and we are gonna.
It's not terrible. It's not terrible.
It's so funny because I felt like I was like singing along to each one of these 14 songs in here in my own head. I know all of the
That's
all
hilarious.
of the notes, all of the songs, and it's got to be just from like watching it so many times as a kid, and it's just about toys and it's bright colors and stuff. So that's obviously tainted because now I go back and like I said, the tax evasion, the fraud, like I didn't really notice a lot of that stuff. You just know this is an awful bad guy, and these other blumbering idiots are his minions. Right. But there's definitely a lot of things in here like that if they were going to remake this movie now, they would not. Even in 1986 when they remade it with Keanu Reeves and Drew Barrymore, they went a completely different direction. Have you seen that version, the 1986 Babes in Toyland?
No, I know that it exists, but I've not seen it.
That's a whole nother can of worms there. That it's almost nothing like this. Like they just like took the name alone and the marriage part and just went a completely different direction. It's fascinating. I want to go back and rewatch it now. But there's a lot in here. Like the song about the gypsies, probably not going to be redone in 2024. We're here today and gone tomorrow. Cheerful. We're always cheerful. Our life is nothing but a happy song. Don't know if that's so very, very accurate. Did you love the Kmart Ents that were for the this is the force of no return?
What a great description. That took me a second. Kmart when you said it. I'm going, Kmart Ents. Oh, yes. Yeah.
That was an high school arts and crafts project.
We have got to get our hands on that. Honestly, my thought was that's our costume for when we go to D23.
Yes.
We just go around as trees.
I want that to be my Halloween costume. I needed to text my wife right now. We've been talking about Halloween costume.
I say we go to D23 as obscure costumes from Disney movies that nobody really likes. The first night we have to go as the gorillas from Shipwrecked.
Yes.
Have to.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could move here to the Kmart Ents and Babes in Toyland.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
We'll just I'll think on the last night.
The one song that truly like irked me, been like I totally did not see this as a problem at all until now, especially nowadays. Definitely has to be when where's the song? Just a Toy, where he's like moving her like a toy doll, and like it's just so uncomfortable. It's like the way he's treating her, like forcing her to be in different poses and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is so uncomfortable in 2024 now, like watching this whole scene play out where he's like, I'm going to make you do whatever I want you to do. I'm like, oh, there's so many things that HR would be involved in if that's what's happening in the workplace.
Yeah, the studio censors would grab and pick up on.
No, they would never even let it. But I will say, Eddie, the song that fascinated me, especially where I work now, also has some problems, but you know the song that I'm talking about, right? That I would point out.
Do the sum.
We can't do the sum. It's a song about bills and accounting, the price of bread and budgeting. Somehow Disney Theater and Dave Ramsey have come together for a song here that I feel like should be in there. Now, there's some things about her saying, I'm too dumb to do the sum, where I'm like, okay, maybe not include that part. Some not great stereotypes right there. But when she's talking about, I'm like, yeah, you're right. We are still worried about the price of bread now in 2024 as we were back in 1961 when this came out. Like, life hasn't changed. We're still in that same. We're all trying to figure out how to make ends meet, Eddie. I felt like this was a song for the times. I loved it. I was like actually hyped watching the song.
That was the song that Sarah walked in on, who also had never seen this movie before. Somehow, I'm shocked.
Wow.
And because this just seems like one that would have been in her family's VHS repertoire. And she just looked at me. She goes, "Wow, this is a trippy movie."
Oh, because it's her version of Pink Elephant
colors. Yeah, exactly.
It's the Pink Elephant level mode. I think they go in and out of that world for this song, where they're like, a song about budgeting. We need something a little bit extra. What if we have her go with the pink elephant from Dumbo?
And the whole movie, it had very honestly, I thought a lot of like White Christmas type of feel, like some of the musical numbers and just kind of the structure of it.
Yep.
It was I mean, some of the musical numbers, everything, like I was trying to place it, it's like this comes out the same year as the original West Side Story movie. Yeah, I mean, we're just 2 years away from getting Mary Poppins. We're just 4 years away from getting The Sound of Music. There's just like, I don't know, like it makes sense. Like once I like stopped, I'm like, okay, when did
thought
this
about all the other
out?
movies that came out. It felt like, this is more likely to happen than what I thought.
Yeah. Like it's very much like, oh, I see why this gets greenlit. I see why this gets produced. And I mean, you're looking at it and you're going, there's not like a high production cost going into this, right? Like,
no.
So
well, I know where it all went.
More and more makes sense.
They didn't spend very much of it for 98% of the movie until that climactic ending. Eddie, this had to be where it got you, right? And pulled you in, or at least pulling you in. Or was it just too absurd?
No, by the time they get to Toyland, I'm much more hooked. Like, I'm like, okay, was this going down?
We get Tommy Kirk back. He makes an appearance here as the scientist.
We get Tommy Kirk back. And let's talk about Tommy Kirk here for a little bit. He's fantastic in this. Probably the highlight of this movie for me.
Stole the movie for you.
And like, what a versatile actor. Like, you think about what we've seen him play now, from the scientist to the bratty kid in The Nutty Professor to Swiss Family Robinson to Old Yeller. Like, each of those 4 performances are distinctly and very different.
I would say this is a very different version of Tommy.
That's what I mean.
The other ones I feel are kind of close, though. He's like the older brother. No. I think so.
No, I think like Old Yeller, you get such an incredible dramatic performance from him. Shaggy Dog, you get the straight guy comedy performance from. Then we go to, he's just unlikable in The Nutty Professor. Swiss Family Robinson, he's kind of that older brother know-it-all. You kind of like him. You're also annoyed by him. I
feel like Swiss Family, Shaggy Dog, I'm a big Tommy. And those are pretty close together. You're right. I forgot about Shaggy Dog. Not Shaggy Dog. Nutty Professor. He does go a little bit different direction, but
I think
this is the best one though. This is the best version of him though.
Oh, this is huge. Yeah, just totally different. So, did he ever become a Disney legend? I don't think so.
How did he not? He bankrolled them for like 20 years.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I think
I'm starting that petition now, the change.org. I'm starting that tonight.
Make him a Disney legend.
Anyways, but for those who haven't seen it, if you're listening along, this ending where they use the shrink ray that Tommy comes up with to shrink themselves. Everybody's shrunk now, and they're just fighting each other.
It's fantastic.
With the toys. It's epic. They make this so massive. The color of the lights and everything like that.
It's all stop motion, right?
A lot of it, I'm sure, is stop motion, but then they're fighting each other in this like larger than life world when they're so small. Like, the question I have though is, why did Mary never step in, maybe quite literally, to help when Barnaby was still small? Like, why did she never step in to kind of like take over some stuff when that was when Tom was like in dire straits? Like, what was she doing?
Well, if you're too dumb to get to the sum, then you're too dumb to step in.
Oh goodness, Eddie!
I'm just quoting the song.
Just quote the song.
Speaking of Mary, she's played by Annette Funicello, who was arguably the most famous of the Mouseketeers from the Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She did a lot of the beach movies, but got her start as one of the Mickey Mouse Club members.
She was also
full of diehard Disney actors.
She was also the other girl in the Shaggy Dog, the girl that gets left behind when the new girl moves into town. We get a small performance from Kevin Corcoran. He's kind of like one of the group of kids. Although there was one guy,
Boy Blue.
Yeah,
he's credited as Boy Blue.
Boy Blue. There was another kid that was dealing with the pies that I swear was Kevin. Like, it looked like his twin, and then it was somebody else. So he had like a lookalike.
No, it's his brother. It's his brother, Brian Corcoran.
Okay, well then that's why they looked so close. Edwin, he's the voice of the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. He was the fire chief in The Nutty Professor. He's definitely one of the regulars.
We're going to see him here shortly with Mary Poppins. Yeah, he just becomes kind of the quirky character actor for Disney movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we also get Gonzago and Rodrigo. They're back from Zorro. We get both of those guys back in a new, different kind of role, but together this time. They were kind of separate in their own areas, and now they're actually together in this.
Near the beginning, that was definitely what held me and brought me through. I thought they were a fun little duo. Gonzorgo and Rodrigo, interesting names, but I thought they were fun.
Eddie, I'm just dying right now. Experiencing this on the other side with a movie that I've known my entire life, and you're experiencing for the first time in a horrible fashion. Just like, I'm like, it's like living the reverse of our normal world here. And I'm just like taking it in because this is so much fun.
It's Freakiest Friday.
It's Freakier Friday for sure.
I'm assuming, I mean, was this you personally driving this in your childhood, or were your sisters playing a strong role in this becoming a staple?
I mean, it was just playing. I don't know who started it. We only had a limited amount. We didn't have Netflix, Eddie. You got the movies that you got, and this was one of them, and it just played on repeat all the time. So it was just, Babes in Toyland's on. I don't know if my mom turned it on or my sister did. My older sister did. My younger sister, we didn't really give her a lot of options. She didn't really get to make the choices herself. We kind of made them for her. Maybe my brother did, but
yeah. Is this I read some things online about this was a Christmas movie. Like, as I was just beginning to watch it, and I'm like kind of also looking up some stuff online about it. Like, heard multiple people kind of reference this as like a movie they watched at Christmas.
Well, so two notes on that. One, they talk about how when all of the toys are destroyed, we're gonna have to cancel Christmas. So there's no Santa Claus in this, but they kind of intimate a little bit that. And then I personally, a couple of years ago, rewatched this as we were preparing. It was like on Christmas Eve, like setting up presents and stuff like that. So I don't know what it is because it's not explicit by any means, but there's something. It's just like, I mean, toys, Eddie. Talking about toys. Of course, you'd want to watch this on Christmas.
And this is what brings us to where we find Babes in Toyland in the parks. So as this movie comes out, a part of its promotion, they actually bring several of the oversized sets to Disneyland. Like, for a while, like, you could actually visit the sets of Babes in Toyland.
Wow.
And then a part of that year's Christmas parade, the toy soldiers and the trumpets become a key segment in the Disneyland Christmas parade. So much so that to this day, they are like the keystone element in any Disney Christmas parade. You go to any Christmas parade in a Disney park around the world, and they are going to feature like what they look like in this movie. Like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I've seen it in the parades. The toy soldiers and the trumpets from Babes in Toyland are now in every Disney Christmas parade at the parks.
Fascinating. That's so weird how certain things just become like associated with the holiday for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's still there to this day. Like, you want to go visit any Disney park and see like the Christmas parade, or if you watch it like on ABC Christmas Day, you're going to see the toy soldiers from Babes in Toyland still in a Disney park. I wonder how many people know that is the toy soldiers from Babes in Toyland, but.
Oh, the toy soldiers. Yeah. Those just like scream Christmas. Those soldiers. Like, and I've never really pictured like why specifically, and that it was Babes in Toyland of all things that they came from.
Yeah. So there you go. That's their representation in the parks. Well, should we get to our ratings? This is where the Freakiest Friday will fully come true, I guess.
Oh, it will. I have no doubt of it.
For me, in all honesty, like, as I was sitting down and watching it and then coming in here, I just went
back in the vault.
Back in the vault. Back in the vault. This is a 1 back in the vault. I don't, unless Eileen asks me to watch it again, which she may. I'm good.
No, nothing's gonna pull you back in. Not even that ending scene. Just for old time's sake. Old Times, New Signs.
No.
I figured as much from the moment you started talking about it. And once I heard you say like the songs and you were like, I was like, oh, he's out. If it's a musical, bad music for Eddie, he's out completely.
Yeah. So is this a 5 essential for you?
No, not at all.
How extreme is the disparity?
So this is the thing. The 99.9% of why I want to rewatch this is nostalgia. It's not even that this is good. It's that it's these earworms that are stuck in my brain when I think about this movie and these scenes and this ridiculousness. So I'm not gonna like go crazy here. I'm not gonna go a 5 or even a 4. I've been battling whether to give it 2 or 3. And here's the thing. We're going to go back to the rule of how excited am I to watch this again? Not right now. I'm not excited to go watch it right now. But come Christmas time, about once a year, I could find myself turning this back on. So I'm going to go 2. Interesting. It's going to pull me back a little bit. You got
to go at least to 3 then. Come on. You pulled this up all on your own. Christmas time, you're going to pull it out again. I thought you were going to say 3.
I'm going to go 2 just because there's a part of me that's like, JB, you know this isn't good, right? This isn't like quality. It's just they're stuck in your brain. And it's, so I'm going to give it a 2. Eddie, this is unprecedented territory for me giving higher rating than you. So,
oh, for sure.
It's a big
I don't know
deal.
if this is the last time that this happened. I think it has happened before, but it's not often here, folks. There you go. There you have
what
it.
A day to be alive.
Now that you are filled up on JB's Disney nostalgia of Babes in Toyland, we've got a bit of Disney news, a few things that slipped through the cracks of last week's episode where we covered all the big news from D23. And a few new things that have popped up since then that are, well, quite interesting.
So we've been talking the past couple of years since we've started this podcast that Disney had hit a pretty big slump over the last couple of years at the box office. They hadn't had a $1 billion movie in a couple years here, especially last year was a big one that they really whiffed several times on with all the movies that they had come out. Couldn't get a $1 billion winner out there. Well, Eddie, they have not just had one, and they've had 2 of them. And even this weekend, their little side project 20th Century that they bought up from Fox, like it just came out with Alien Romulus. I may or may not have been there on opening weekend, may have binged all of the first 2 Alien movies this weekend, the past week, to kind of get ready for it. And it made $100 million worldwide this weekend, which is like everyone was like applauding for this little film. But is Disney finally back at the box office, Eddie? And we've got more to go. We've still got Moana 2 coming out.
Yeah, I think it definitely bodes well. Like, I think we got to remember, though, that this was a Pixar movie and a Marvel movie that was borrowed or bought in. Like, I don't know if I would call Deadpool a straight up Marvel movie.
Hey, they had 2 20th Century hits on their hands. Former properties.
Yeah. And then, Alien Romulus. I think you're right, though. The true tale sign will be, what does Moana 2 do? And all signs point to they're going to have a $3 billion movie with Moana 2.
It's going to explode. There's no way they're not getting to it.
Yeah, I mean, they're marketing it well. It's a known entity. It's a favorite. They recommend Moana after you watch everything on Disney Plus. Even if it's like you watch Deadpool, you're going to get recommended Moana. I don't know if I've not watched. I don't know if you notice this, like everything you watch on Disney Plus you get recommended Moana afterwards. So I'm like, of course this is the #1 streamed movie.
Yeah.
Like they shove it down your throat. But yeah, I think that'll be another one. And that's good though, right? Like the more they make the box office, the more they're gonna make movies, and they're gonna try and make other things as well. Like once they get that cushion back in, okay, we'll try and make the Hoppers of the world.
Oh, you're bringing that up, Eddie? I thought I was done. I thought I was like in a safe place away from Hoppers.
But how many times do we say we want original stories? We can't judge an original story before we see it. So yeah,
we'll see.
Speaking of Disney making profits, something that came out last week, right before all the D23 news dropped, Disney Plus is now profitable. This is the first time ever that they're actually making money off of Disney Plus. And it actually reached profitability a whole quarter prior to their projections or what they had expected. And it delivered, you ready for this? $47 million in operating profit. There you go. They've made $47 million off of Disney Plus.
It's funny to think that, well, 47 million, when I just think about it for myself, that seems like a ton of money. But when the money they're talking about, where you make $1 billion off of one film, like it's such a tiny number. But it's also funny because then you look at that, what they made last year was they lost $500 million on streaming last year. So it's a major gains they've made, probably mostly due to just price hikes and slashing
advertising
budgets and stuff and slashing like the content that was in there. They got rid of a bunch of stuff. They canceled a lot of things to save themselves money, and giant write-offs, tax write-offs. It's just funny that that's the world we're living in, where it's like they're like celebrating from the mountaintops $47 million for this multi-billion-dollar, hundreds of billion-dollar company.
Well, I think you're spot on. Like, is this an accounting, trickery? Like, are you really making money here, or did you just cut so much and do so many different things that on the books, on paper, you're now making money, which is all that the stock prices care about. But I don't know. No, I mean, the subscription prices are going up again. I don't know if you saw that. They announced that those are going up again, and making me just dream of our first 3 years where we bought 3 years for like $100. That's never happening again. And then, I think the other thing that's accounting for some of this is all the advertising. Right, that is where streaming is going, is making their money off of advertising.
The ad tier.
That's just going to get dialed in more and more. Do you guys use the ad tier?
No, and the main reason for that is because if you're on the ad tier, you can't download the episodes to like a device, and we live off that on our longer trips. Like, whether on planes or in our car, especially in our van. Like we're not going to, because we don't have unlimited data. We pay even cheaper, like super cheap with Mint Mobile, and we get even cheaper by doing like the 15 gigabytes per each of our phones. It's like, so it's incredibly cheap. But so we don't stream movie. We try to download as much as we can before we go on the trip. Sometimes we'll still turn it on, but yeah. So for us, we don't. That's why we don't use the ad tier, because you can't download stuff if you're on that version.
Yeah, we pay for the non-ads as well.
Hulu we do ads. Hulu we do ads, but not for Disney Plus.
Yeah, I also just like, it's annoying. Like a couple of our other streaming things, we have the ads on them, and it's just like, I feel like YouTube is getting terrible right now. It's like so many ads. I can barely watch anything. So Speaking of Disney streaming, another interesting piece of Disney streaming was brought up in a recent lawsuit. I don't know if you saw this story,
crazy.
JB.
I just heard about this.
This stands out to our family. My wife has an anaphylactic allergy to dairy. So this, of course, jumps out at us, this whole story. So back in October, a couple is visiting a restaurant in Disney Springs. So think like downtown Disney at Disneyland. They go to this really great restaurant called Raglan Road. Sarah and I have been there. And it's not owned by Disney, but it's on Disney property, right? And any restaurant within Disney property has to have a pretty robust allergen protocol and menu. This is one of the reasons why we love going to Disney World. It's the only place where we really feel safe eating. That being said, this lady who has a severe dairy and peanut allergy has such a severe reaction, she dies. Sadly dies.
That's crazy.
And the husband sues the restaurant, Raglan Road, and Disney for wrongful death because they followed, the policy. They communicated everything. They were guaranteed this was safe food. So in the lawsuit, Disney now is trying to say, no, they need to throw it out. They have no right to sue us because a year previous or whatever, they signed up for a month of Disney Plus. And in the terms of conditions of a Disney Plus, when you sign up for it, apparently, it says you will not sue Disney.
It's so ridiculous.
Even though they were not current Disney Plus members or whatever, streaming versus being there on property or whatever. So this is the big thing going, right? Like, I mean, I heard this shortly after all the D23 big news drops. It's like Tuesday and it's like, boom, all the news stories just shifted from, oh, look how amazing Disney is and all this stuff they're doing to they're trying to do what now?
Yeah.
And what's crazy is the guy is only suing them for like $50,000. Like he's not trying to get rich off of Disney. It looks like he's just trying to pay his medical bills.
In the words of Dave Ramsey, to them, it's just a biscuit. It's just a biscuit for them to throw $50,000 at this guy.
Yeah. And you're going, well, okay.
What's interesting about this is I don't know if it was the Supreme Court or just recently, some major ruling happened to overturn agreements like this for I forget if it was NDAs or if it was for bargaining,
non-competes.
Not non-compete. Oh, it is non-competes. Never mind. This is a little bit different. But it seems very much the same idea of like a major corporation that is basically like strong arming just average citizens who should have the ability to like, no, you made a horrible error. It killed somebody. We should this is what the legal system is supposed to be for, right? Like, why are we like a 1 month term in a completely different, you can't say that, well, you came
years
did this previous, and it was also for streaming. I'd understand maybe if they were like your content did something, but this is at the parks. This doesn't make any. This is silly. This is so ridiculous. Yeah. This sounds a lot like when they tried to go after daycares for using their characters painted on the walls, for using right? Mickey.
It really is. And you're just going, come on, guys.
Same lawyers.
The optics of this.
No.
Yeah. Our last story here, you slid in there right at the last minute. I had no idea about this. Is this fresh news?
Yeah, it just dropped today. We've not so much on here so much, but in everyday life have been bemoaning the awful season of The Acolyte that just happened this summer. Very disappointed very disappointed, especially in that final episode. Was so mad at Disney for it. So we've just been like sending memes in this group chat of a bunch of us just like making fun of the Acolyte, how awful it is. There was just a someone posted on Instagram, I should send it to you, where it's just them, the creators of the Acolyte, talking about how we love the dark side, like dark side's cooler than light side, right? All this stuff. And then it's just, then the second half of it is just George Lucas going line by line, going, the dark side is about selfishness. The light side is about doing good. The light side, the dark side is about selfishness. And it's just like, what are we doing here, guys? This is just, what are we doing? Well, evidently Disney must have got the memo because they canceled season 2. They're not going to be going on to a season 2. We're done. We don't have to think about that. I know there's some people a little upset because they might have teased a known character that was potentially going to show up in the next one. But I'm glad they saw the light of day and just like, yeah, this ain't going to happen. Evidently, it did good. Its first 2 like opening, it did good. It did well. It was one of the highest streams for them, but they saw it plummet off a cliff. We talked about that in the data a couple weeks ago. But yeah, this ended pretty badly for them, and I think they figured out like, oh, the fans hate us for this. They hate what they did. What we did. So I'm glad. I'm very, very happy that they at least saw the light of day here, if not in their legal team, at least in their streaming options.
I hope this brings, I don't know. It makes me more excited for the Skeleton Crew.
Yeah. Oh,
where I'm like, come on,
I could watch that trailer right now.
We need something. We need some Star Wars. We need something good. And I'm hopeful I would love for the Skeleton Crew for being something like I can watch with Lewis.
Yeah.
Like I just have my fingers crossed, like, because I like the original trilogy, and even a lot of the prequels are really great. A lot of fun to watch. But so much of kind of the newer stuff is a little more intense, a little more that I'm just like, I haven't felt comfortable watching a lot of it with him. So I don't know. Yeah, I didn't watch The Acolyte. I have no intention to. I didn't even finish Ahsoka. So I'm just kind of like, yeah, here it is. Not surprised. So, well, there you go. Before we go, JB, I hope you and the family have a great week. Just a great week. Not a good week, a great week.
So do I. I'm hoping for good things. I'm hoping that I make a couple better choices than I did this past weekend. Mostly like afraid that I almost was about to kill my son. Not from hurting, like not from me, but from like the situation, like potentially putting him in harm's way. I don't know. So he went to this birthday party at a gymnastics place, and they had fun and games, and they're running everywhere for like 2 hours, going. My wife brings him home from that, and he's like, hey, I want to go outside. And I was like, great, let's go on a bike ride. Sweet. Awesome. So we go outside, we get on our bikes, and we go up, and then we go down this big, large hill and around. And then now we've got the ascent back up, and he's going pretty slow. And he's going, it's like, oh, it's taking you a little bit longer to get there. And then it's like going up a little bit more. And it's still like, he's like, can't even just do little small incline. He's like, I got to stop. So I'm giving him water. And I'm starting to get like, what's going on here? And his cheeks are getting really, really red. And then I realize it's 91 degrees outside. He has just fully exerted himself at this gymnastics thing for this birthday party. We've just ridden this road all the way down to the base of this thing. And now we're having to go up a large incline, which even on a day where he hasn't done anything and we go out, it's still somewhat strenuous. And then I just see him and I'm like, we're stopping every like few feet, like drink some more water until we get to the top, and then we can just coast down back to our house. And so it's just like, I need to make better decisions as a parent. Like, he wants, but, and the other reason that I was thinking this was because a couple of years ago, he was outside all day at the pool, didn't get enough water, and then he like overheated and like was falling asleep on the couch. We had to like throw him in the tub, and like, so I'm getting flashbacks to that. So I'm hoping for better decisions for myself this weekend with my own kids, that take it easy. Summer's almost done. Like the heat of summer's almost done, even though kids are back in school. So that's what I'm thinking.
Bring a water bottle next week. Get a good water bottle.
Yep. And maybe just think twice before long rides. And with that, you've got your weekly dose of Disney nostalgia.
Be sure to subscribe to Honey, We Made a Disney podcast wherever you listen to your other favorite podcasts. And hey, give us a look on YouTube as well.
While you're there, please like or leave a 5-star review and share it with your best friend.
You can also check us out at honeywemade.com, where you can see all of our other nostalgic reviews of Disney movies.
Tune in next week as we review The Wonderful World of Color.
Thank you for listening, and remember, we've just been playing with the toys.